out of the C major scale. Now it's not that, again, if you write a song, you have to stick to these chords. But chances are, if you're going to attack a song, you have to listen and figure it out really quickly. You figure out what key it's in. Most of the chords, if it's a popular song that's on the radio, are going to come out of these. However, there are other chords, many other chords, that you can use in songwriting. For instance, you can use a major second chord. You can use a major third chord, usually with a dominant 7. You can use a minor 4 chord. You can use a major 6 chord, usually with a dominant 7. You can use a B flat chord. You can use an A flat chord. Now these are chords that you will hear in many songs. If I was to go through and play some of these changes, you'd know the sound. So if I played regular changes, D minor, the 2nd, E minor, the 3rd, F, the 4, G, the 5, A minor, the 6, B diminished. Diminished chords kind of weird. We don't use diminished chords all the time, and they're a very particular flavor. But the other chords we do use. Now if I wanted to, instead of using a minor 2nd, use a major 2nd, it works perfectly well. Or a major 3rd chord. Or if I wanted to use a major 6, that A7. To the minor 6. These changes have feelings, they have moods. They give you emotions that you don't even realize they're giving you. And that's a big part of songwriting, is the emotions that the chord changes are giving. Behind the melody, behind the production, behind the lyrics and everything, there's an interplay between chords. The A flat and the B flat. How many times have you heard this in a song? Sounds kind of common, sounds kind of familiar, because it is. So all these chords, they come from somewhere, and I'm going to explain where they come from. But first, what I want to explain to you is how chords work intrinsically. Chords work like this. They build tension, and they release tension. That's pretty simple, huh? That's a simplistic way of saying that in some cases, you have a song that really builds up the tension. And then, usually for the chorus, it'll release that tension so that chorus feels big and it hits you like a rock. There's certain songwriters who excel at the pre-chorus and build that extra long to really, really wind up the pitch, so when that chorus hits, bam! It's like very emotional. Now, in the world of resolves, the 5 chord is what I like to call the hallelujah resolve. It's a very special, special resolve. And it sounds like this. If I was to go G to C, ta-da, right? That's the ta-da change. Now, that doesn't sound very emotional. It doesn't sound like I built up a whole lot of tension to release, which is true, because I did. If I'm just using my 1, 4, 5 chords, I didn't wind up that pitch. That was a low ball. I almost rolled it to home plate. Now there's a lot of ways to wind up the pitch. And what happens is, when you use some of these other chords, they hold off on that resolve and they build tension. Sometimes you actually have little resolve and release in between 2 chords in the process of building up that tension. So if I wanted to just stick to my 1, 4, 5 chords, you know, summer lovin', had me a blast, you know, simple, there's no tension and resolve. But if I got up towards my 5 chord, wow, very different return to the 1. Very different return to the 1, because I built up tension. It's not that you have to use a lot of chords to do that. When I played that A flat, B flat, that had a resolve of its own that can come up from the 5. It's not always resolving downward, sometimes it's resolving upward. Knowing your 1, 4, 5s in every key, there's only 12 of them. Knowing your 1, 4, 5s is a great way to kind of solidify your chord knowledge and your scale knowledge and everything that you do. 1, 4, 5 in 12 keys should take you all of lunchtime to actually memorize. We've been working with them a long time, and yet if I go 1, 4, 5, and B, B, E, F sharp. So I highly recommend going through, even if you do not know a band or a songbook of jazz standards, whatever, even if you do not know the songs, play through the changes. You know, you play through them and you start to just hear the logic of the chords. And again, with so much overlap, there's going to be a lot of stuff that makes a tremendous amount of sense to you. When you are creating chords for a song, and you're writing a song and you're trying to figure out the next chord for the melody that you're singing. I know a lot of people who are singers and they come up with melodies all the time. And they're like, I don't know what to play underneath it. I have this melody. How do I know what to play underneath it? And I said, well, the first thing that you have to know is if you have a melody in your head, and you're singing it and it sounds good to you, somewhere it has context. There's 12 choices. Some of them will sound terrible. Some of them will sound okay. One or two of them, usually one of them, is going to sound like the one. So if I'm singing sunny day, sunny day, in the clouds, but I might have gone sunny day, you know? But I'm making that up. The song that exists as it is has a certain thing. When you're making up a song and you're writing a song, it's all wide open. Now, if you want to write a song like a Frank Zappa tune that goes into different time signatures and changes and gets crazy and has, you know, you have to have like charts spread across the whole thing, you know, that's way cool. If you want to write the next Justin Bieber baby song and make millions of dollars, you know, in publishing, that's cool too. The idea of that a song has to be a hit is not necessarily a bad thing, because we all want our songs to be catchy and we all want people to be able to grasp on and listen and get that earworm and never forget that little melodic hook or whatnot. But there are so many songs in the world out there that are not meant to be hits. And if you are a songwriter, you should not limit yourself to only trying to write songs for the radio. The best songs are going to come out of you from your honest places, when you're expressing something, when you're connecting to a place within yourself emotionally. Whether it's a super happy place and you're writing a song about, you know, green tea and blueberry pie, or whether it's a very sad song and you're writing, you know, a song about saying goodbye to someone, you know. There's an old saying, the best cowboy songs are written by Jewish guys in Brooklyn, because the romanticizing of things oftentimes gives us, it's true, it gives us something like, if you were actually a cowboy, you're not feeling romantic about how bad your ass hurts and the cows smell and you're sweating and stuff. When you're in Brooklyn writing a song, you know, home, home on the range, you know, it's a whole different, because you're imagining it. The guy who wrote Take Me Out to the Ball Game had never been to a ball game. Interesting. So if I went... Now I know what I just played, but can anybody tell me the progression that I just played? I played the 1, minor 2nd, minor 3rd to the 4. Minor 6, 4, then a minor 4. So emotional. Minor 3rd, major 3rd, 4, transitional chord, 1/5, 4/5, then the A flat, B flat. And you can't mistake that 1 when it comes back in. As you start to learn the numbers of the chords that you're playing, and it's very easy to practice this in C, all the white keys. Hey, I just played Led Zeppelin. They simply took a triad and went right up the white keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 5. It's also good to take songs that you know, ascribe the numbers to them, and then always be familiar with the numbers based on that chords. If I played you, when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me. Easy, right? You guys know that song, Let It Be, right? 1, 5, minor 6, 4. The Let It Be chord. there's a video online of some guys playing like 60 songs with the same progression, that progression. That's one of the ones that every single year there'll be a song out on the radio that uses those chords or a variation thereof. A lot of times we'll start on the minor 6, play to the